Hello everybody, Happy New Year's. I just wanted to do this little story I wrote for the new year about New Year's a few hundred years ago. It would be set in China in the 400, 600 AD. That could be wrong, but it's just a story. But it's sort of supposed to be how fireworks were invented. So if you want to hear the story, stick around for the next couple minutes. Okay, so let's jump into the story. Cast your minds back to your best imaginings of ancient China, and just to let yourself picture, it's a cold, snowy New Year's Eve right near the Himalayas. In this area, you've got not a lot going on, but there is a village. And in that village is an alchemist and his assistant. And they've been working with some explosive powders for the last few years, trying to come up with new alchemical designs for the emperor to use in his wars. And so it all started one early morning in ancient China. The alchemist had gone off to spend time with his family, and the alchemist's assistant was left to mix chemicals. He had told his assistant that he couldn't go home until midnight, unless he blew up, in which case he was free to go to heaven, but only until the next morning. The assistant had not been pleased about the arrangement, but he also had no one to go home to. So here he was, mixing powders for his master at 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve. They had a system, him and his master. They would take 3 or 4 powders, try to light them each on fire individually, and then mix them together in varying ratios to see how that affected their flammability. The assistant had suspected, when he started the apprenticeship, that alchemy had been made up by someone who simply wanted to blow things up for a living and needed to also get paid for it. Not that he was complaining. Blowing things up was the best part of the job. Him and his master had been working on a combination of potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. The assistant started mixing together different ratios while carefully keeping track of the reactions. This process of mixing and burning and mixing, was putting him in a better mood, to be sure. As he worked, he would sweep the old leftover powder into a hollow bamboo cutoff they had lying around, and would dump it into the fire at the end of the night. When the end of the night came, however, he was very tired and not thinking, so he simply threw the entire bamboo cutoff into the fire and started heading towards the door. A moment later, he heard a crack and then a whistling noise, and he turned in time for a rocketing piece of bamboo to strike him squarely in the chest. The next morning, he awoke on the floor of the workshop. He had dreamed about whistling bamboo shoots flying into the air all over China. It had been a beautiful dream. He rolled over, brushed soot off his arms, and got to work. When his master came in the next day, his assistant was nowhere to be found. There was a black spot in the back of the cold fireplace that hadn't been there before, and a row of hollowed-out bamboo cutoffs stood there, full of some black powder. When the assistant came in later that day, he explained everything to his master, and they proceeded to light off a few of the bamboo shoots to see how they worked. Upon seeing how well they flew, the alchemist arranged to meet with the emperor. "Great emperor," the alchemist said upon being granted audience, "I have invented a new device I think you will enjoy." He had not let his assistant come to the meeting. And that is the story of how the alchemist's assistant invented fireworks and how the alchemist got credit for it. Thank you for anybody who took the time to listen to this. I hope you had a happy new year.